a woman is pregnant for 9 months and then it's created. That's how I feel like with a lot of my ideas. Like I carry them for 9 months.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the 6th episode of Carton Conversations presented by BODYARMOR. I'm your host, JB.
I'm your co-host, Dominique.
And today we have a very, very special guest here in the building. He's become one of the most well-respected creatives all around the world. Definitely a certified Chicago legend. Honored to call him my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kristopher Kites.
Thank you, everybody.
Mr. Kites, man. Thank you for coming on the show.
No, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. We were super excited. I know I introed you as a Chicago legend, but make no mistake, you're definitely becoming a notable figure all around the world.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you got guys from J Bal. I mean, I want to talk about LeBron first, because that's obviously had to have been a huge moment for you. What was it like to see LeBron wearing one of your pieces?
Oh, it was crazy because I wasn't expecting it, He bought a shirt, him and his barber, Nick, two amazing people, and they had bought the shirts. And so basically, almost over a year prior, back when I was still working at Nike Lab. And then now I'm out of Nike Lab and I'm doing what I'm doing, making a living just off of designing. And I was in a slow slump because one of my favorite designs was that t-shirt. I took it down off my site the day before because I felt like it was one of my underappreciated designs. It wasn't the craziest, but still felt like it was underappreciated. And then seeing him rock it that next day after I took it down, I didn't put it back up, and I just received all the love, and it was dope. It was crazy.
Oh, so you didn't put the shirt back up after you posted it?
Oh, no.
Why is that?
Because I'm y'all should have appreciated it then before.
It's too late.
It's kind of it's kind of a too late. I don't care about money grabs. I actually care about the actual message and people loving it. You know what I'm saying? And to see one of the greatest athletes to ever live and walk this earth rock my shit, that shit is amazing. It's one of the checklists off my dream list of people. That's a dream to know LeBron rock my shit. He's a billionaire. He has plenty of freaking clothes he could have wore. He's had that shirt for over a long time. Mm-hmm. He wore it on vacation with his wife, with his family on a boat. And the same way that we plan together fits, they plan together fits also,
Right.
But
so
this wasn't a stylist
decision.
telling him, right. This was him being yo, this is what I want to rock today, And no, it was just dope.
No, that means a lot. And you said that he purchased it, right? You didn't seed it to him.
No, yeah, he purchased it. And I remember even being back on the South Side when I made that t-shirt. And then he being even still going back to the South Side, being at my granddad's crib, shipping out the shirt to him still, And then be oh, LeBron gonna wear it today? LeBron gonna wear it? I totally forgot, to be honest, until I woke up on Instagram one day and it was just, my phone was going off, I
mean, even seeing it on your order sheet, right? That he purchased it in the first place had to have been a crazy feeling.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's awesome.
LeBron isn't the only superstar supporting you. Beyonce featured you on her website. Did a bee come to your crib with a golden envelope? How did that come about?
One of the people on her team had seeded me into the conversations, and she's just an amazing person, and I made sure and that's basically kind of how that happened. It was a domino effect. I don't really know how she found out about me, but then she seeded me to be, and then got me on the site, and then that's basically how that happened, and that was just super dope for sure.
How do you feel these cosigns impact your business?
It definitely helped a lot. It helped a lot. I remember one day I didn't even really know that I was even on Beyonce's site, to be honest. I just saw a bunch of orders coming in. And I was yeah, that's cool, but I really don't know where it's from. But sometimes in the sites they tell you where it's coming from or whatever. And so then I was oh yeah, it's from B's site. But then even along with that, you see I'm in interviews and these are the first things that people say, But then I also see other artists who may be bigger than me, who maybe don't get as big as cosigns, who drive their force through just strictly their artistic direction and their designs. And I'm now that's fire. You feel me? So it definitely helps. And it also keeps me going because even as artists, you sometimes want to see the people that you look up to the most wear your stuff. I love seeing everyday people wearing my stuff. That means more to me than celebrities. Right. But Beyonce and LeBron are not celebrities to me. J Balvin, they're not celebrities to me. They're really people who I really look up to, who are inspirations. You know what I'm saying? Who have broken barriers and fields, who didn't come from generational wealth. They parents was Brode. I mean, like, you know, they came from they really came all the way up through the top. So those people are like really true inspirations to be like, yo, I want to be at y'all level.
So it's different than just like an influencer,
exactly.
like celebrity.
You feel me?
And you're really getting the best, because like you said, LeBron purchased it. The Beyonce thing you didn't even know about till it happened. Like, they are recognizing your work in that way. You know,
that, it is cool, because you definitely, as an artist, all creatives fall into different slumps. You know, just even being told like you're loved consistently, that doesn't need to happen. But it's more so like the fact of when you have a drop. Like, I get crazy anxiety before a drop. Like, I really do, to the point where I almost cry. And then you see all of those numbers. You see all of the products sell out. And then you like, you know, you're confident again. You know what I'm saying? But you always feel like you working on your own paycheck dime to dime. So you're always thinking about that. Like, well, will people stop liking me one day? Or, you know what I'm saying? Little things like that. But then when you see like the greatest and the best of the best, be like, yo, we love your shit. That gives you that
just
charge.
As human beings, like we need that reassurance from time to time. You know?
100%.
So it's like definitely nothing wrong with it. And you mentioned J Balvin, which I'm glad you did, because I wanted to bring that up too. That was like a little bit of a different situation from what I remember. You guys went on tour together. You were curating like all of his tour merch.
Oh yeah.
What was that experience like?
It was amazing. Like, I remember, like, once again, I was still working at Nike Lab when J Balvin reached out to me.
Wow.
Like, I was at Nike Lab, and I remember like it was only like 10 guys who worked there, so 8 out of 10 of them had to be Latino, and they were like, yo, it'd be crazy if J Balvin like wants one of your chains or rocks one of your chains. I'm like, yeah, man, that'd be crazy. But it just still seemed like a little too real or too good to be true. You know what I'm saying? But then, like, if I'm lying, I swear, like, the next day or like 2 days later, he DM'd me.
Word.
And it's like, J Balvin, you know, person with 40 million followers, accept or decline. Bro, I was taking so long to press accept. I did not want to press decline by accident. And, you know, like, it just happened. And from there, he was just like, yo, wanting to cop all my chains, wanting to do my tour. They want me to do something for them next year. We didn't run it back the last 2 years. Yes, right off back, straight love. Fire. I didn't get hit up through an assistant. I didn't get hit up through his manager. He DM'd me directly like, yo, my G, I want one of your chains, you know? And he had seen like Don C's story. Don C had reposted me on his story of one of my chains. And then Don C opened that door for him to see it. And then he, you know, so sometimes like when these inspirations like really post you and things like that does huge, because it opens up another door for another person to love you, especially in the circulation of social media and those waves. It keeps the love going. But like becoming a part of like J Balvin's family, seeing how they move, seeing how their culture moves with their music, I ain't never experienced love like that before.
Well, and just like you being able to understand it right off the bat, like he's hitting you up directly, naming all this stuff that he's personally interested in you doing. So that kind of, I feel like, instills more confidence in you to like 100%. Be transparent with your vision with him and like collaborating on ideas and stuff like that. Right?
100%. That man is amazing. Like, it ain't never like, he ain't never too Hollywood for anything. He always just makes sure everybody's taken care of. An amazing soul. And the love that he's given me, it just knocked down doors to open up more love for everybody in his family, you know? They welcome me right in.
Well, let's take it back a bit. Tell us about your experience growing up in Chicago.
It was cool, you know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't really necessarily come from like a real bad down family, but I definitely had family, a part of my family, which is really my dad. Like, he raised me, and you know, we just faced a lot of challenges growing up and going in between. He was a Class X felon, so like a lot of places we couldn't live. He couldn't get a lot of jobs, a lot of places, and that really tore us down. I mean, we was living in the projects, you know what I'm saying? After living in my grandma's house and stuff like that, and I mean, but we overcame like all of those challenges, you know. I went to school on the South Side on 83rd, and then I started going to school on 47th and high school at King, and then all of those little things like that kind of helped build me like to the person that I am today, you know what I'm saying? But then also seeing like the different dynamics of when I went to school on 83rd, and then when I started going to school on 47th, and then my dad was putting me in a bunch of programs and stuff like that to help me like, you know, figure out what career I wanted to do. So there's different programs I wanted to, lawyer programs, stock and bonds programs, investment programs, whatever you name it, if it wasn't necessarily like the mainstream thing to do or one of those things that you have to go through a lot of schooling and stuff. Yeah, that was kind of like my upbringing. I lived in an all-family household for a long time till I was like 10. Then I went to like 47th, and then from there I just stayed on 47th till I became older. But I'm from the hundreds, and then I ended up going back to the hundreds by the time I like went out of high school and stuff.
Facts.
And that was that with that.
Chicago is definitely known for producing hardworking people. You would say that that's instilled in you for sure.
Oh yeah. When you get back into that corner, it's nothing to do but get out of that corner, and you're gonna fight your way out of that corner, not try to squirm out or scream and shout or just sit there. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like when Chicagoans know what's on the outside world, then that's when they really fight for it. You know, like when they see what's on the outside world. But a lot of people in Chicago are blind to like what's amongst the outside of Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Because if your only viewpoint of life is Chicago and you don't want to see nothing else, then you're going to stay in Chicago.
Yeah, that's only as far as your vision can go.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned your pops putting you in all these the different types of programs growing up. Do you feel like that was like an effort to expose you to a world outside of Chicago and just realize different possibilities, or like? Yeah,
because he had a limited view of life. That's why he got his felon. You know, that's how he became a felony. You know, but once he knew, once they limited him from getting a bunch of jobs, a bunch of housing, he still made it out of that. Mm-hmm. So we're all on an equal playing field, but he's like now below the playing field. And he still has to get to that equal and go above. I'm still at the equal. So he's showing me like all these different routes that I can go. And he's going to try his hardest to make sure that I can go through these routes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It didn't work because I didn't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? Right. But ultimately, he was giving me that option because schools don't really give you the option. Schools don't really put you in those programs or introduce you to all of the actual careers you can get into before you leave school, you know. But he definitely did his jobs times 10, because I know a lot of the kids that I went to school with who had better grades than me still flunked out because they didn't know what they wanted to do, you know. Mm-hmm. But that, him showing me and interacting with a lot of these kids at these programs who didn't look like me, who come from all different types of cultures and backgrounds, or who parents just came here and they're putting them in these programs to become successful. You know, like I learned a lot from those kids. I learned a lot from how they move and being in a different environment and then going right back to the South Side.
And that I'm super glad you said that, because I feel like that's like the intangible value of it, right? Like maybe you're not interested in like law school or XYZ, but the experience you're having just trying it out is really what you're taking from it, right?
No, 100%. Like the experience, and then also going in to find different, you know, like if you keep up with like a consistent thing of being different, quote unquote, not being different, but trying new things, you just keep trying new things. So whether that may be like, oh, I like listening to new music, I'm gonna keep continuously listening to new music, or I like looking into these new different careers, I'm gonna keep doing that. And that's kind of like what happened. I mean, I got into fashion because I mean everybody likes fashion, but he actually put me in a fashion program, you know. And then that's like what really things started rolling downhill. But then even in fashion, like I didn't like certain things, so I started trying new things. And continuously trying new things just keeps expanding your horizons to whatever the next thing you want it to be, you know.
Almost as building a habit out of trying new things, like
literally.
Yeah. Dope.
What would you say your come up as in Chicago as a creative? How was that? Like, what do you feel like led you to where you are now? Like, what was the point that you was like, yeah?
I think I was in my granddad's house, and I was in my room there, and I was like, all I would do was like watch art documentaries and stuff and see how like a lot of these artists think and stuff, and try to see like what's the new route that I could take, because like I was trying to make clothes and trying to design, but like it wasn't really 100% working out. But I mean, like at what point can we say that it's not working out, you know? Right. So I was like, you know what, I just need to try something new. Keep trying something new, and then we'll see. But I'm not gonna drop another t-shirt because it's clearly not working for me and it's not making me happy, you know? And then like I seen like a Jeff Koons, I was watching this documentary on Jeff Koons, and I seen his equilibrium tank, and then that's when I was like, yeah, like that's it. And basically it was like 3 Spalding balls floating in a fish tank, and then that's kind of like when I was like, oh yeah, that's it. And then along the route, the chains came, and then the real that's it moment was when I was in Vogue in 3 days after dropping the chains, and hearing them, still continuing conversations with them years on end, like since then, still talking with Vogue, and them following along my journey, like that. Those were like the 2 that was it moments.
The big breaks, first big breaks.
Coming up, did you experience any pushback? And if you did, how do you feel like you handled those?
Oh yeah, I experienced pushback. Everybody, all creators gonna experience pushback because everything isn't for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I first started, people like plastic chains. Heck no, you know what I'm saying? So there go pushback. You know, I remember when I had a fashion show before I even dropped the chains, and I was showing people the chains. Nobody liked it. All the models that I didn't pick, all my friends, like nobody really liked the chains. I will admit, it was big as hell. It was the beginning of the chain. So it was like it was literally like a 7x5 chain. That shit was probably bigger than like these 3 cans. Like it was like huge big block, and nobody was fucking with it. And so I experienced pushback then, but when you experience that pushback, it's all about evolving after the fact of that. You know what I'm saying? And just keeping that going.
Well, I'm going back to your point about building a habit out of trying new things. It's like, what do they say? The definition of insanity is like trying the same thing, expecting a different result.
Right.
And so I think, again, like going back to what you said, I think that applies in those situations. Just throwing stuff at the wall, you know, recognizing the results of one thing and figuring out how to adjust. I look at like your modeling career as like an example of that, and this is an assumption, and hopefully you can speak on it for me, but it seems like, you know, you modeling for all these places early on helped you build a network of sorts.
Oh yeah,
you know,
that was the master plan.
Okay, so it was conscious.
Oh yeah,
okay.
Like I just knew like if I want to go into this field, how can I do everything on every spectrum? I can make the clothes, I can model the clothes, I can go out to people and be like, hey, I want to work with you, but of course I can't work with you right now, so let me model your clothes. Let me, you know what I'm saying, little things like that. And I would just walk into these places and ask these people and hit them up sometimes like, yo, I'd be down to model it for nothing or some free clothes, you know what I'm saying? And then that's when people started kind of watching me. And
so
then
it was
they started
never like
noticing.
I'm trying to be a model. It was always like,
no.
Okay.
It was like I am trying to be a model, but it was also like I'm also a designer, because as a creative you can do multiple things. You know, if somebody puts you in one lane, they put you in that one lane. You didn't put yourself in that one lane. Right. So it's like, what you gonna do now? If somebody hit me up right now to do a campaign, I'm down to do the campaign. I mean, how many rappers do we see now who are actors or who may be modeling? Or how many actors do we see who model, or vice versa? I mean, like the same way that Kanye could go and do fashion, same way Virgil could go and DJ and do fashion. Like, same way Don C could be designing clothes and then go design a car. Like, these different things, like, creatives are creatives, so they can go do everything and anything that they want. It's all about the lane that people put them in. And that's the same way with me. I know with fashion, it's like, okay, how can I hit everybody on every spectrum? Kind of like line people up in a circle, you know? Like, I wasn't really good at graphic design. I hated that shit. But, like, let it be in modeling, I could do some modeling. I got my hair, I got, like, anything I put on, I make it look good. So, like, I can model anything, you know what I'm saying? And I got the charisma to just make something look good behind the camera. And then along with my designs, I'm like, I just got to get that there. Bring in some real money with that. And then, you know, that was kind of like that, yeah.
I like the comparison you brought up with Kanye, because he's like one of the biggest proprietors of that concept, right? Like, don't put me in this box. You know, I can do this thing and that thing and that thing. You know, the Louis Vuittons and the Nikes, and you know, his whole struggle with communicating that to these big brands. Is Kanye's story and you know, Virgil and Don C and even like Matthew Williams and like people who came out, like, is that a big inspiration to you as far as how you operate?
Well, yeah. I think the biggest of them all is Don C, because Don C has been rocking with me since the beginning. Like, you know, before I was even like really making the chains and stuff, like he was still rocking with me because I made a shorts collection that was inspired by him. And it was a bunch of like knit sweaters made out of It was a bunch of shorts made out of knit sweaters that I thrifted or that I got from all over the world and stuff. And Don C has always been like backed me on all my designs. He's always bought pieces from me. He's always like forever and ever and ever. And so seeing him and also around and also the group that he came from, you know, they all made it together. None of them would have been able to do it without one or the other. And they all kind of like cultured together. So like those are a huge group of people. And that's like why now in this modern day, like in the 2020s, people are now seeing like creatives can do anything. Now you see like people getting crazy jobs, like Virgil going from streetwear to Louis, or like just anything. You'd be like, oh damn, I didn't think folks could do that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna keep jumping to those different things. Even as we talk about some artists, they're already in music, but then they jump to another genre, and you'd be like, yo, I wasn't expecting nobody to do that.
Right.
Like, you know, because where the creativity flows, you don't necessarily dictate where it goes, you just go with it. And sometimes it'd be like, yo, we don't want you to do fashion no more, go do music, or vice versa, you know? And then you can still go back and do whatever that case may be. You know, it's just not setting no boundaries for yourself.
Well, yeah, and that's how creativity works, right? There is no boundaries.
Yeah.
And so when people try and put that box around you, like, okay, he's just a model, or he's just a designer, or Kanye's he's just a producer,
right?
You know, whatever the case may be.
Continuously breaking them down.
Yep. I feel like we're in a great place for that in 2020. I'm curious to know, you mentioned like the first chain you made that people weren't feeling it was like a huge block, and you've since refined it. What was the production process in the early days? Because, you know, doing the chains that you do isn't like something you can just Google necessarily. So how did you figure out how to put things together?
Oh man, it took me a minute. It took me a minute to figure out, because it's beyond actually making it. It's making it to the best quality also, you know? And anybody can make a shoe. I can make a fake of a Nike shoe, but it's like, okay, how good can I make a fake or a design or whatever, you know? So it's like, the quality was a real big thing to me, and I've always evolved the quality of the chains over time. But when I first made it, I was far from it. I was just trying to figure out how to first make the chain and make the idea that I had, you know? And I was like in my granddaddy crib, and I made it in a room in my granddaddy crib right under my TV, and I literally like almost passed out from the fumes of like making the chain and shit. And you know,
which obviously you weren't thinking about before.
I wasn't thinking about, because I didn't know. And now ain't nobody tell me, you know what I'm saying? And so then like I was like, and then I woke up and then it was made or whatever, and it was done. But I low-key didn't even go to sleep, to be honest. But I was like going in and out of sleep because of the fumes and shit. But I didn't know.
It almost killed me, but I got the chain.
For real though, for real. Like, and so then like, you know, come around, I think like the next day or like a few days later, and that was the first chain. Then I tried to make a bigger chain. I was like, oh yeah, this hot. Like I just want to go bigger and better already on some like side bag type deal. And she almost burned down the crib. Like for real. I almost burned down the crib, and then like, yeah, I fucked up his floors and shit. They didn't even know what the hell I was doing back then. My granddaddy didn't care though.
Without giving away too much of your process, what element of it is dangerous for kids watching?
Everything. Like I see people make my chains, and I'm like, they making it for fake to sell it, right? If they're doing it for a hobby because they can afford my pieces, that's beautiful. Go ahead and do it. But people like go and resell it, and then they're like making them without. I mean, all you need is a respirator mask, the same mask that we're wearing, but more so on like a higher level, like the like actual graded, like Home Depot. Hell yeah! Like when COVID first happened, I was just wearing the mask that I wore in the studio, looking like I was ready for the, you know. But like, yeah, just rock one of those. I mean, like, you know, you can actually like on some real shit, like you can actually low-key develop cancer over that shit, like no joke. Like you can develop cancer, you can develop skin rashes, you can develop a lot of shit. And I put myself at risk for a lot of these things because I put myself around these fumes, or I don't make the chains as much anymore, but I used to put myself around these fumes every single day. And different things, rashes on my body and things like that. I'd be like, oh yeah, I need to wear more protective gear and things like that. It could come back to bite me down the line in life. I don't think so. But all in all though, people who surround themselves with that shit every day, that shit is very toxic, for real.
Do you ever make custom pieces for people?
For the most part, I don't even really do custom pieces. I've done customs for like a few people, but a lot of people haven't received customs from me because like with the pieces that I make, it takes a lot of time to make them. I don't want to overcharge someone for the time that I put into it because I have a bunch of other pieces out. I take recommendations from people to make different pieces and stuff. But really like J Balvin, plenty of customs. He has plenty of customs, you know, because we've worked on that level, you know. But I don't really do customs because I don't like to do them, and I just don't have also, well, I would like to do them, but I don't. When I was really knee deep in making the chains, I didn't have the resources to be able to take time out and customize every person's piece. For whoever want to custom, you know what I'm saying? Like it's better for me I would be spending a lot of time on this one piece and taking away from other people's pieces, or just the overall, you know, somebody want custom engraving, somebody want this, somebody want that. Well, with all these specifications and you telling me which one tug and pull, it's like, okay, how much. You know what I'm saying? Like how much. And I didn't want my product to ever really kind of reach that point, you know?
I'm glad you brought that up because like you're at a point now where the demand is so crazy for the pieces. You know, obviously you spent years, you know, going from almost burning down the house to now like, you know, learning this process, and that takes work and your time is valuable. So like exactly to your point, what's the process like for you in determining the value of your work?
You know, that's a good question because I think about that all the time. You know, like with the chains, they may be cost effective to an extent, but they go through many different steps. Like they go through about like 10 steps. And 8 of them are almost on my end, where I'm working with each piece hand to hand.
As far as producing,
polishing, drilling, assembling, making sure just the overall is good. You know, sometimes I can make 100 chains and 100 of them go bad. So like I can't make them. They all have to be perfect, you know. You just kind of know. Each person is different. I've seen people spend 5 minutes on a painting, sell it for $500,000. Some people spend a week or a year on a painting and sell it for $5,000. Right. You know, so I feel like it's in your intuition to know kind of where it's at. But you also got to be strategic with what you price your stuff at. You may really feel like it may be worth that much, and it may really be worth that much, but you may want to maybe gain attraction or following before you're able to
at that price,
right. For people to be received it. Unless somebody coming to you from corporate. If it's a corporate brand, charge their ass with that bag, for real.
Right, they gotta cut the check. No, I mean, that you hit the nail right on the head, and I asked that because as an entrepreneurial design, like if Walmart stocks a product, right, they can sell it for $10 because they have thousands of people doing all the, but with you, like you're doing all the moving parts yourself, and you're taking this time, and so that time has to be accounted for in some way. And I guess my overall point is like, how did you learn how to balance that, the business side and making those decisions and still maintain your creativity? Because I feel like that's one of the biggest problems for entrepreneurial designers.
Yeah, I think, you know, for me, it was kind of hard. Because I remember I was selling the chains for $30 at first. I knew they were worth more. But like the same way I went to Chicago, sold the chains for $30, and then sold out in a week. And then in like a week or two, went to New York, sold them for double the price. Double the quantity, sold out in one day. But in Chicago, it took me a week to sell them out at $30. I've been in Chicago my whole life for 20 years, or I think at that point like 19 years, because I was maybe 19 years old, I think.
And you're 21? Okay.
Yeah, and so then I go to New York, and then I sell them at double the price, double the quantity, and sell out in one day. Not even really one day, in a few hours, you know? It's hard in like a good way. Like that shit was fire, because it's just like, you learn kind of like your audience and how to move with certain audiences. So Chicago may hold their pockets back a little bit more, but New York is gonna let them pockets fly. But it's also gotta be like, okay, this demographic may feel like they know you too well, so they too cool to be buying your product. But these people may be like, man, this shit's fire. We like fire shit, we gonna cop. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like when I do a pop-up in New York, the same people pull up with new faces. But like they loyal, they show love. But in Chicago, it's just different. You know, I do a pop-up and my friends won't show up. You know what I'm saying? Like they can't, you know, it's different things that you kind of gotta, you know, switch around and that you learn from. So
off camera, we were talking a little bit about how you're the first non-musical artist to be a guest on our show.
Oh yeah.
We also got another first that we're gonna do today, and I'm gonna let Lee kind of run you through what we got for you.
So we're introducing a new segment on the show called Quick Sips. It's going to be a lightning round. You have 60 seconds to answer as many questions as you can. And at the end of the season, whoever gets the most points is going to get a gift box curated by us. Are you ready for the challenge?
Okay, hello. So I just got to answer. So the score goes by who gets
how
the
many
most
questions you answered in 60 seconds. Yeah, this is like, it's like the 5 fingers of death. You know what I'm saying? All right, so the time starts after I ask the first question, and then you want to try and answer as quick as you can.
Let's go.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm scared low key.
First question: what was your secret to success in the Lyrical Lemonade basketball tournament?
Staying focused.
What's the first Chicago food spot you're recommending to a tourist?
Italian Fiesta.
Who's one Chicago creative that's going to break out in 2021?
So many.
You're on the
Ron
clock.
Lewis.
You're on the clock.
Oh, say it again.
Ron Lewis.
Ron Lewis. Okay. What rapper has the best fashion sense?
Young Thug.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Ooh, flying.
What song is at the top of your work playlist?
Wasted, Don Toliver.
Best clothing boutique in Chicago?
RSVP Gallery.
Who is your favorite Donda affiliated designer?
Don C.
What comes in the Kristopher Kites McDonald's meal?
A toy for sure.
Who's your all-time favorite cartoon character?
I can't even think of it. SpongeBob.
What Chicago sports team needs you to redesign their jerseys?
Bulls.
Time is up.
I'm definitely coming at Bulls.
Hey, that you got it in.
I love to do the socks though. I ain't gonna lie. Like I love to do a baseball jersey.
So it's not necessarily like that you think they need a redesign. It's just like what you want to do.
Yeah,
Okay.
all of the teams have a good design, but also how long have we used those designs for?
Right.
The Golden State Warriors, I think they didn't redesign their stuff like 3 times in the last 10 years at least. The Bulls have had the same design for like the last 15 years.
Right.
Like
Right.
it's
a classic
time for a
though.
cutout. It's a classic, but it's time to redesign.
Nah,
like
you're right.
How many different logos? You
Chicago
feel?
Bulls, if you're watching.
White Sox, what's up?
Before we forget, what it was
So
Chris's
you're
score.
at 11 points. You're our highest ranking player so far.
All right, let's give Chris a round of applause for the first lightning round. High score on the
What's your favorite
leaderboard.
cartoon character?
My favorite cartoon character, I'm gonna say some off-brand, like probably like Otto from Rocket Power, because I was real big into skateboarding growing up, and that was just like someone I fuck with.
Lee?
Off the top of my head, Finn from Adventure Time.
Oh, that's fire. That's a great answer.
I'm still stuck. I'm not gonna lie.
I feel like SpongeBob wasn't
That's the
your
same
actor. Like
answer.
that
It
was like
definitely
your
was.
quick.
It definitely was.
All right, clear it up for the people watching. Who's your real favorite?
You know what, bro? I swear I'm so stuck. I really can't think. I have a lot of favorite cartoon characters because I watch so many cartoons. But I'm going to maybe say like Wolverine. I love Wolverine, but he's more so a comic book character. Like straight up cartoon, man, I'm stuck. Because I really watch cartoons, you know? Yeah, I don't know. We'll put a pin in it.
There's a lot of pressure.
If I remember, I'm going to let y'all know.
Bet. We got a few other things we want to talk about, right?
I know we quickly mentioned RSVP before, but you recently became the first designer in residence at RSVP. I just want to congratulate you on that.
Thank you.
How did that come about?
Really, so one person from their team had reached out. I don't know if you want me to say their name, but they reached out to me and they were like, yo, I think this would low-key be a cool position for you if you did this for RSVP. And it was more so on a smaller scale though. And then I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like I'm definitely down, like 100%. And then we went back and forth. I gave a few more ideas. After that, then it evolved to what it is now. Me being the artist in residence there to design for him for a year. And yeah, it just kind of like took off from there. I mean, we've already had a relationship and it just made sense. Like everything came full circle and it was just that missing puzzle piece that nobody could find, you know? And then it's like the puzzle piece has been sitting in front of you the whole time or it's been in your pocket or, you know? Right. And so it was just able to finally like, just like fit perfectly in
Is that an
slots.
example where the modeling kind of...
Of 100%. But I remember seeing some socks up in there like 2 years ago and being like, I could redesign them and make them fire. And I was like, I don't even know. I was probably like 17 or 18 or something. And my design skills weren't even the best back then. But I remember just having so many different ideas for RSVP and being in there. Because when I used to work at Nike Lab, all I would do is have ideas. I would go back probably like every 2-3 minutes to go on a notepad and write a new idea. I still got that box of ideas too. But like, how to make the store better. I wasn't going to give it to them because they probably weren't going to listen. But it's like...
Or if they did, they'd just steal it.
Or if they did, they'd just steal it. Because that's how some brands are. But you know, you wait till the right moment to unleash them. Or at the end of the day, they're your ideas for yourself. So even if it don't work out with this company, it can work out with another company. You know, those same ideas that I had with Nike, it may be like the customer to consumer experience and different things like that. I wrote all of them shits down. And that was just ideas that I had roaming. When I used to work back then, when I was working, or if I was on a train, like those were my best ideas happen because I would be steadily thinking. Like that's what would make the time go past. I didn't even want to listen to music because I would just be thinking. RSVP when I was modeling and stuff, I'm just thinking about like, all of these problems that not all of these problems that they say, but let's say it's a problem like, we're trying to figure out how to do this without getting this dirty. Okay, boom, I have a solution in my head. This is how, you know what I'm saying?
So the ideas just like, is constantly churning.
Oh yeah, for sure. Even at Nike, if it's like, oh, this is not necessarily a problem, but we can make this better in this way, you know? So I just always kept like thinking like that, you know?
Brought up Nike Lab and working there a few times, and for those of you who don't know that are watching, can you explain what that job was and what that experience was?
So basically, Nike Lab is a high-end boutique of Nike. I think I forgot how many it is in the world, but it's like maybe like 6 in the world. I think it's maybe 2 in the US, 1 in New York, and 1 in Chicago. And I think the one in Chicago is closed. So basically, a lot of people who work at Nike, they work there like 2 to 3 years before even getting put up in Nike Lab. I was put directly in Nike Lab by Liv and Aubrey, 2 beautiful people who felt like I deserved to be in there. And it's basically like the cooler part of Nike by far.
Shout
like,
out to Liv too.
The coolest people up there for sure. And so I met a lot of cool people up there, and we got all of Nike's hottest collaborations, and we basically, space would be curated, it'd be decked the hell out, and you know, they would drop stuff from up there and whatnot. And so yeah.
And that's where Virgil.
No. He did the space downstairs, but it was like the second version of it. But all the Nike Lab workers worked in it.
Word.
So that's kind of like, it was like a part 2, but it was like in the old Kohan store downstairs. But same kind of like that likeness where it's still like reinvented. Yeah.
Cool.
It's so interesting to see all the seeds you planted blossom.
Oh yeah, because up at Nike Lab, I'm gonna keep it a buck. Like that's the contact like that I had like with LeBron. I met him in there. My contact with Drake, I met him in Nike Lab. Like all I did was sit. Like, you know, when you work in the right place, it don't have to be like, you just gotta work in the right place and also know how to move. You know, like because I was working at Villa, and man, you know, just people. It's just keep it a buck. Like people didn't really like to work. You know, some people did, some people didn't. Some people cared about their job, some people didn't. And you know, you want to be around people who care. Even if I understand like all jobs not the best, but you don't want to come into any type of environment where it's like sick and stuff. You know, every time I come up in Nike in general and Nike Lab, they had really great electric energy. And it kept you happy. Positivity, you're around cool ass people and stuff. And so those also kept my spirits up. To keep, because my environment at home when I went home after work was bad, you know? And so like that was a good way to get those good thoughts and those good ideas and energy. And you would just also come through and you would see people and you would be like, you know what? I want to hit my level of success like they have one day, or, you know, just different things like that.
So touching on that, how important do you feel like for an up-and-coming creative is your work environment? And just surrounding yourself with people that have the same type of goals and aspirations and motivation as you?
Well, first, if you feel like you're not surrounded by people who have the same aspirations and goals for you, as you and whatnot, or you looking to, don't look for it. Look in yourself. First and foremost, scrap. Like, I ain't had no friends, like, during all this. Like, for real, like, when I was trying to come up, it was just me and me working. Wow. I wasn't worried about friends. Not because I had friends, but they just wasn't on the same time as me. And it's just true, you know? And so you just take yourself away from the situation. You subtract yourself. Don't subtract them, subtract yourself, and then put yourself in a new equation, you know? And just work on yourself. Build yourself up to the person that you want yourself to be. I just stayed up, worked all night. I seen how other people move. I heard about other people's friendships and how their friendship were. And I was like, oh, so that's how real friendships are supposed to go, you know? I even look at my mom and my dad. A lot of them are still friends with the same people who they knew when they were kids. But some of their relationships could be like, nah, you should have been let that go. But for the most part, you know, it's healthy relationships. But then I see like how many friends I went through. I'm only 20. It's like, well, damn, those people definitely wasn't supposed to be in my life. I definitely didn't surround myself around the same people, the right people. Right. So now it's just like, you know, now it's like, you know, but I'm not thirsty to have no friends at all. You know, those good blessings, like they come, you know, but first and foremost is working on yourself, you know?
I think that's a good point that you said, like looking inward. A lot of people don't put everybody in a box. We look outward and things that you need.
Point the finger.
Yeah, the point, you're the problem.
Look to yourself.
You fit in right with
those
them.
Things.
Well, I want to talk about the design in residence a little bit more. What are your responsibilities day to day with that, or is it more abstract?
It's not necessarily like day to day. Like, you feel me? Like, it is fake. It is fake day to day. Like, but like, it's just really like whatever I want to make and create. They really give me a lot of design freedom. Amazing team over there. I also feel like I give a nice balance. I'm like the special guest, you know? Right. It's kind of like,
change your pace for
It's
them.
kind of like being in school, and school is cool, but it's fun when you get a guest, you know, or like when y'all go on a field trip. So right now, I feel like I have the whole RSVP team on a field trip. And school is fun. It's like, but when it's a Friday and it's a field trip, that feeling is different. Yeah. And I feel like I have them like that for this whole year, you know? It's not like somebody who I'm permanently there barking orders at everybody, but it's just like, you know, it's kind of like still that loving experience with everybody. And so my day-to-day is just really creating and making cool shit, coming with new ideas, envisioning RSVP in my mind. And that's pretty much like the day-to-day, you know? Sometimes we don't talk, sometimes, but for the most part, like the way this next piece is, for this first top of the year, like it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be so Chicago in a good way.
Can you give us any insight to that?
Neon.
Okay. Okay. And nonsense?
Neon, just neon.
Okay, word. And no, you're totally right.
Nonsense a little bit too.
Right, always. Shout out to the whole team at RSVP, by the way.
Amazing, beautiful people. Shout out to everybody.
That's family, and I think there couldn't be a better fit for you. So congrats again.
100%.
You're gearing up for your next release, The Rugs. 13 projects at once. Can you tell us a little bit more about the collection or what you want people to know about it?
Okay, so it's 13 projects rug, right? And after LeBron wore it probably like November 29th of last year, I think. And from that point on, I literally that same night, I was hitting up manufacturers to make a t-shirt into a rug. That same day, I was like, man, I need to immortalize this t-shirt. Because LeBron just wore it. Like, LeBron, you know? Like, he's the Michael Jordan of our time, the Kobe of our time, you know? And I was like, a rug. Because at first I was like, man, maybe I'm going to freeze the t-shirt in like an acrylic way. And I'm like, man, that shit corny. I'm like, a rug. It lives forever. And it's so much to it. And I felt like the t-shirt didn't hit enough, maybe. But I'm like, how can I hit it in my way that's a little bit different? I'm not going to make the t-shirt into a chain. I'm not going to, you know? So I'm like, man, a rug.
I apologize for the inconvenience. I'm working on like 13 projects at once. Right off the bat, what I know, like I love the raised lettering, and I love that you left like the die cuts on the tee.
Yeah, I love that part. That was my favorite part.
Tell me a little bit about the creative process.
I mean, it was pretty simple, honestly. I sent them a redesign of the t-shirt. You know what? Actually, I'll take it back. It wasn't easy at all. Because manufacturers, you really got to voice to them what you want. And everybody also don't come with the same quality. You know, a lot of people may just be making a rug for you to hurry up and get your quick buck. But to actually find somebody of quality who are going to take the time out to do it, like the entire rug is handmade. And so, like, each rug is handmade. Like, you know, so it takes a lot of time to fully make the rug and make it to its true essence for it to be like, you know, like for it to hit the way you want it to hit. And there was so many samples. I probably spent, I don't even know how much money I spent on sampling, but I know it took me over 6 months to get the perfect sample, you know? And then from there, it was also about plotting on how I want to drop, you know? And I came up with like, I directed this new video with P.O. Mio Studio. I came up with a concept to them with videos. They gave me their ideas, and then we collabed our concepts, and we both directed an amazing promo video. I love doing promo for my pieces. It's beyond also the piece with me, because it don't matter how bad or how good your design is. If you don't promote it well, then it's not gonna sell.
You gotta create a moment.
100%. And that was also one thing I learned about the t-shirts. Like, you know, I never really put together a photo shoot or whatever I may do to promote a piece. Yeah, but once I saw the way that I went out with the chains when I got underwater and shit. Vogue picked it up in 3 days. They'll do that shit every time if you actually put together some good photos. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, so Vogue picked up your work at the first drop you did?
Yes, the very first drop in like 2.5 years ago.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I literally just got off the phone with them again right now.
Word.
But like literally like I literally sat down and I like emailed like I sent all the photos, the idea, the concept to like 50 Chicago columnists. 50 Chicago columnists. Not one picked it up.
Wow.
The only person who replied was the editor from Vogue. And
rest is history.
The rest is history. Thank you, Brooke Bob.
She crazy.
Put them out, and then that was that. And that was like 3 days after it too.
Bro, how'd you come up with the phrase?
I don't know.
It's so relatable.
I don't even remember. I think that was the thing. I think it was because I made it up. I was still at my granddad's crib. Like I was like, some great ideas came out of that. When you suck in that box, you just like, damn man. Like I'm working on like 13 projects at once. I'm trying to figure out, do I want to go to school? I'm trying to figure out like shit. do I want to just work at Nike? Do I want to model? Is any of this fashion shit, is any of my dreams gonna actually work out? Like, these are also mini projects because you have to work upon them and finish them, you know? And so, like, I just be thinking about all that, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, like, I'm working on like 13 projects at once. And that's not even at the least, you know? We got people out here who got kids, people out here who got work also along with that, people who want to chase their dreams. That's 13 projects in itself. When I talk to real creatives, I mean, if you really put down a list of things that you're working on that you want to finish,
surprise yourself how much it is.
You surprise yourself on how many projects you're working on. And even it not be yourself. You may want things for other people, like, yo, I want to make sure such and such finish her swimming classes. Like, that's a project because you may be helping them in some way to get there. You know what I'm saying? And it's just different things that, like, in itself puts me in those kind of like circumstances and whatnot, you know.
I mean, it's a perfect phrase for a lot of us creatives. It's funny, we were doing like a dry run of the interview, and Elliot was playing you, and
I gotta see it.
His best guess was you had like a meeting with an executive or something, and you were running late, so you just texted him, I apologize for the inconvenience, I'm working on 13 projects at once. But you looked at it and you were like, you know what I mean, this would look fire on a t-shirt.
Yeah, that basically, right? But now, like,
it could apply.
It's been dope, like, low key promoting this whole rug, and I know that I haven't responded to a few texts and emails while I've been promoting this, and so then people like, they cool, I guess. They're like, man, listen, he said what he said. Like,
if you don't understand it, you're never gonna get this piece.
You're never gonna get a piece because it's definitely the true essence now. Yeah, like, overall though, now I got all the time, not all the time, but now I have a lot of time to work on these projects, you know, and it's very loving that I don't deal with a lot of stress at work, and that majority of my work majority of my time goes to working on these projects. And coming towards the end of the year in 2021, it's nothing that I want to do more than prepare and just drop, you know? Especially because, like, now we're in the circle, or now I'm in the circle where I can just drop, but I can't just drop. Because I love it. It's like my baby. The same way, like, you know, a woman is pregnant for 9 months and then it's created. That's how I feel like with a lot of my ideas. Like, I carry them for 9 months and then I make sure that they come out the right way. You know, I plan things out so far along in time. But sometimes, you know, things come out, but you just can't let it come out premature, no matter how long it takes, you know? Proper promotion, proper release, everything like that.
Well, speaking of the 13 projects, you got clothing, you got jewelry, and now furniture. Are you designing a spaceship next? What do you think you want to do next that we don't know about?
Let me see. What do I think I'm gonna do next? There's a few things that y'all don't know about that I'm already doing next. But, you know, like action figures. You know, furniture is a different world. I'm working more into furniture, but that shit is a real art. The same way Kanye has been making music for so long and whatnot, you can jump into it, but when you jump into it, you're not gonna sound like Kanye. Right. You may sound like a first timer, and it's a huge difference between that. But you got to make sure that you also got to find yourself to kind of reach that level to an extent, if that makes sense, you know? Like, you got to actually put in that time and quality. You just can't jump into things. I didn't just jump into the rug. It's a very simple design, but I just jumped into it, and I actually learned all the different materials, figured out which colors work best, which wool from whichever country custom made worked best for that rug, you know? And then which wool may work better for this rug. So it's like different things like that you got to learn about before you just jump into something, you know? But I don't even think like design anything, like it's definitely plenty of things design wise that I'm gonna be jumping into, but more so like other things aside from like making a product. More so like music and things like that, you know?
Making music?
Yes.
I saw on Instagram, what were you learning, the guitar?
Yeah, yeah. Like I played the guitar in like my promo video, like I'm learning guitar.
That was you.
But it's gonna be like alone. Yeah, I wanted, like in the video, I wanted everybody to be semi-anonymous. So like even with me, you don't know unless you like really looking at me. But I have my hat on covering my face and I'm just rocking out. But like learning guitar a little bit, learning different languages, like all of those things, like aside from just like putting out products and creating products, that's all cool too, but it's also like the relationships. Like music speaks to the world. Like it's no language barrier with music, you know? If you like that shit, you like this shit, even aside from like guitar and things like that. And then even with Spanish, it's just more so connecting with the world and connecting with more members of my family, you know what I'm saying?
Breaking barriers.
100%.
If you could have your first single came out tomorrow and you could have anybody on it, who would you feature on the single, and what's the song called?
Oh, that's a good one. Damn, I hate these ultimatums, man.
Okay.
Hey, listen, give me like 3 people, man.
Okay, yeah, 3 people, yeah, or however many. It's your song.
All right, 3 people. If I had 3 people on one song, I think easily like J Balvin for sure, Tizo, and damn near Don Toliver for real.
Yeah.
I mean, first and foremost, I love so many people but them, and it'll probably be called, I don't even know.
That would actually be a super fire.
I just let us pound out names in the stew and let them write out, and then we going with whatever they say. I don't even care. As long as I got all y'all on the song, cool.
It's up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, the talent is there, definitely. The intellect, your understanding of the industry. And so I think anything that you go into, whether it be music, architecture, furniture, spaceships, you know, I got my money on you. So
I would like to design in some way, shape, or form of a Tesla or something. Like, I'd love to design something interior wise of a Tesla. That'd be fire.
Have your heart, Elon. Got the check.
Hit me up, bro. Hit me up, man.
But no, it's been really great chopping up with you, bro. It's awesome to hear a little bit more about your backstory, and I think there's a lot of elements in it that kids can learn from, and that's really what we try to get out of people on this show, is just bring like an educational factor into it.
100%.
You know? Is there anything else you want to leave viewers with before we wrap it up?
As a creative, don't stay in a single lane that they want to put you in. Swerve through all of them.
Well, on that note, thank you everybody for watching the 6th episode of Carton Conversations. Like, subscribe, comment. Let us know who you want to see in the next episode. I'm JB.
I'm Lee.
This is
Kristopher Kites.
Peace.